Hey, Vegan Cyclist. So this is the full group ride, power overlay breakdown. If you want to watch the full workout, the full day of it, click that up there, because I did a lot of workouts before this ride. But so basically the total ride was 62 miles, 3.5 hours. I did a lot of intervals inside of this day. So I did a bunch of intervals, high intensity, threshold stuff, endurance, and then ended it off with this super fast group ride. The group ride in itself was about 13 miles for me. They go to a turnaround point and then sprint back. For me, it's just one way because I rode home. It's 33 minutes, average power is 248, max power was 1015, average speed 22.8. But you can see my 5, 10, and 30 second peak powers all came from the very last little sprint. And I had a 1 minute and 2 minute peak power on the initial climb, like the separator climb. So in this video, I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the tips and tricks that I've seen on group rides. But again, for me, I've already done 2 separate workouts. So my goal for this ride was to win. I wanted to reenact a race environment with a ton of fatigue in my legs. So your goals for group rides might be different than my goal for this group ride. Usually I'm out there for workouts, and in a group ride you can do some cool stuff like try things you would never have tried before, going off the front, that sort of thing. So on this ride, on the flats, you kind of do a pace line on the way out, but a lot of times it's pretty windy. So I go to the front and I pull decently hard, but nothing, just like what everyone else was pulling. I'm not trying to blow myself up. And then what happened is that I sort of got into a cycle where I went all the way to the back, and there's maybe 30 guys here, 35 guys, and I end up going all the way to the back. And while I'm back here, everything starts to blow up on the front. It gets strung out, the gaps start opening. And so I am in a bad situation where I could possibly miss the lead group here because it's just the luck of the draw. And this guy comes up and he's pretty much the last one on the group. He's got the draft. I'm going to jump on his wheel. And man, we've got to start doing something here because we're in the very back and all of these gaps are opening up. You can see right here, just that's no good. And the thing is that this ride has cat 5 to cat 1s on it. So the fitness discrepancy opens gaps like that. And so if you're not paying attention, man, you can definitely easily get split off from the group. And I lucked out by having this, super strong guy, his name's Curtis, pulling me through. So I'm not having to do a lot of the work, but I'm getting pretty tired. And it looks like from here that everyone's single file, that everyone maybe it's going to start slowing down. So I go to get on this guy's wheel and take a little breather. You can see I'm not really pedaling, but this gap is opening up and I can't let that open up too much. So I go and I fill in that gap, and then I realize, oh my goodness, there's now a huge gap. And so I'm having to close down a massive hole here, and I'm just putting out a ton of watts, and you can see guys are just getting flicked. And the thing is though, that you can see now it starts to slow down, and this happens in races and group rides all the time, where it will go eye splitting fast and then it will slow down. And so you just kind of have to anticipate those times that will slow down. Again, my goal here was to win, so I'm not trying to take any unnecessary pulls. Look for as much draft as I can, get on guys' wheels that are bigger than I, so I can really suck wheel and conserve as much energy, because there's some super strong guys on this ride and it's going to get really fast towards the end. So then I get towards the front of the group. We've pretty much shed half of everyone, and you can see this guy, he's got a little leash, he's off the front, and I know him, Jonathan Ropkin, and dude, he will solo this bad boy. So I go to the front and I start to make my pull, make my contribution to close down this gap, but no one's coming around me. No one seems to be wanting to help. And so my idea is that I'm going to snap and close this gap super fast with a high amount of watts, because if they're going to be on my wheel and they're going to be drafting on me, if I'm doing say 300 or 400 watts, they're putting out very little. But if I snap and I make a huge acceleration, they're going to have to match watt for watt, even though they're in my draft. So, no one's leeching off me. So then I make a pretty big mistake right here, which is that I go to the back of the pack and I let my speed, my overall speed drop pretty low. And so by the time the last guy gets on, I have to make a huge acceleration just to get back up to the speed. So you don't want to do that. If you're in the group, try when you go to the back, when you cycle to the back, try to keep your speed up, your momentum up, even if you're having to put out more watts than you want, because you have to make those huge surges to get back on. So we get to the little intersection where you turn and you're going to go up the really steep climb, and this is where it gets hairy. So this dude goes off the front, didn't watch my video about tips of staying with fast guys, and he is just drilling it. I don't think he knows who's in the group because there's some really, really strong guys in this group. This guy goes, Brent, he's really strong, and I'm gonna get a free ride. I wanna be at the front anyways because this climb is so steep and so short that being at the front of this group is gonna play into my favor, because if I'm all the way in the back, like right now, there are guys that are pretty far away from me. So if I attacked right now, the gap they would have to close would just be huge, right? So I want to be at the front, and this dude right here blew up on that climb. He's coming back. He might have been able to stay with us if he hadn't made that little attack right off the start, if he had just stayed with the group. Now I'm going to let Brent pretty much blow himself up, and I'm going to say, okay, if he dips below 400 watts, that's when I'm going to attack. And as soon as he can't hold that pace anymore, I'm going to take off. But here's what's really key, is that I'm going to do a pace, my hardest pace that I possibly can do, and still have energy or matches at the top. Because when you get on a climb, especially with really fast guys, and you crest the climb and crest the top, that's usually when people will attack. So if I just went balls to the wall and went as hard as I possibly could, you know, unless I'm dropping people. If I'm dropping people, that's one thing. If I'm going solo, that's one thing. But I'm not. There's guys on my wheel. And so I'm trying to conserve just a little bit, so when we crest this, that I have some matches to jump onto an attack. And sure as shit, here goes Nick. As soon as the group kind of mushrooms up, they start attacking. If I had gone 100% on that climb, I might not have had the energy or the matches to jump on their wheel. So I'm really tired. I'm in the red, so I allow them to kind of circulate in front of me because I made that huge pull, right? I earned not pulling because of how long I did on that climb. Now watch this little cheeky move. Jamin on the front, he's a Cat 3, and he's going hard on this climb right now. And he's pretty much close to 100%. So Pete's Coffee, Jonathan Ropkin, knows that. And if you're going 100% and you're on the front, you're all in, and the guy behind you, he knows that, as soon as you pull off, most likely he's going to attack you, because he knows that that's your most vulnerable point, right? If you are all in, you're redlining, and you pull off thinking that they're just going to nice and easily come around, you can get some draft, psych out. They're going to attack you. And Jonathan puts in a face melting attack here because we just blew up that steep climb, and now this is another climb, and he's just going all in, and I'm on the rivet, I'm about to blow. And just like Jonathan did to Jamin, the other guy, Nick now does to us. As soon as the pace slows, he attacks. And this guy, Nick, he has all fast twitch, right? So his attacks are searing, but they're not very long. If he can't drop you instantly, he kind of settles back into his normal pace. But man, this guy is like a pure sprinter. We now have a breakaway of 5. There's one guy on the back. He's not taking pulls. He keeps saying that he's too tired to take pulls, which, man, don't ever believe that, right? If anyone tells you, oh man, I can't, I won't take my pull, I'm too tired, I won't attack you guys, most of the time, maybe in group rides it's different, but most of the time they're not telling the truth, man. Don't believe anyone that says that. So now this is the part of the course that's flat and rolly though. There's a little bit of kickers, and we've got the breakaway established. We've all attacked each other pretty good. So we're going to start working together, but at a point of I don't trust you working together. So I'm not going to go super hard. So we're all sort of going kind of light because we don't want to have someone else attack us. And then this gap opens up because I'm supposed to go to the back, and just like I did earlier on, Nick is going to close that gap with a surge instead of a steady pull, as to make me match him watt for watt. Now we're gonna just, I'm sitting on Jamin's wheel, and I take a little dig here, sort of think maybe I could do something, but my legs are burnt. So I just sort of get back into a normal pace, and pretty much for the rest of this part, I'm just gonna sit on wheels. I'm gonna cover attacks. I mean, you can see we're just drilling it. A lot of watts being put out here. The finish is coming up soon. There's like two little hills, two little kickers, so I want to be in the right position, but I don't want to, I'm not going on the front anymore. Jonathan Ropkin, he sees that I skip a pull, so he thinks, well, if I'm skipping a pull, everyone's skipping a pull, and he attacks. Because if we're all skipping pulls, maybe we're super tired and we can't respond. So that would have been a good time for him to maybe have soloed away, but we're all there. He just didn't have it in the, he didn't have enough of a snap to make a separation. So again, I'm not making pulls. I'm sitting on wheels, and I'm gonna wait for the final little two kickers. And this, again, it goes into the 5 tips on how to stay with riders faster than you. I have a lot of data on this ride. I know what's coming up. I know how it usually plays out. And so I'm trying to position myself, because I have some experience on how this course reacts and how people react on this course. I know my average power. So right now I'm sitting around, I don't know, 270, 260 or something of that sort. So I know that I'm not, I've got more in the tank. But we start to come here to the final, and this is sort of the last hill to kick. Now I have some momentum, so I'm gonna swing to the left instead of just jumping on Nick's wheel, because I would have had to have hit my brakes or slowed down. And so now I sort of taper off, and I'm gonna slide back into his draft, because if I hadn't gone to the left, I would have had to slam on my brakes and ruin my momentum, and then as soon as he got on top of his gear, he would have dropped me. Now again, I've already done a bunch of intervals in this day. I'm just waxed, and I'm giving everything I can to stay with them. And this is the point for me. This is the workout, was to stay with these guys. I didn't think I would make it this far with them because of the workout that I done earlier. And as soon as Nick takes off, it's like, yeah, psych, bro. You have at it. I'm done. But that was an amazing group ride. It really, there was a lot of guys, a lot of tactics being played, a lot of dynamics. So I hope this helped you out. We all kind of had a little breather, chatted, and then I rode home. They rode back. As always, guys, Vegan Cyclist. Yeah.